Every single moment you've poured sweat, blood, and sleepless nights into your startup, you've stared into a pit that seems endless. Fundraising, the relentless chase, the rejection emails piling up like insults, the long calls where you try to convince someone that your vision is worth the risk, but deep down, your own doubt creeps in, whispering that maybe you're not enough. It's a brutal game, and what nobody tells you is this: the struggle isn't just about money, it's about a hidden battlefield where the best CEOs don't just raise funds, they play chess while everyone else plays checkers. And they're hiding the moves that could change everything. Think about it. You're out there crafting decks, rehearsing pitches, begging for 10 minutes to tell your story. Yet, somewhere behind the tidy suits and polished presentations, the top founders have mastered tricks not written in any handbook. They've figured out how to turn every no into a yes, how to pull money out of thin air, and most importantly, how to make fundraising feel less like begging and more like commanding. It's not luck, it's craft, and it's hidden in plain sight. Here's the raw truth. If you're grinding on fundraising day after day without seeing traction, you're probably falling into traps that keep you spinning your wheels. Traps that the top 1% CEOs have already escaped. They don't just rely on a good idea or flashy slide decks. They leverage psychology, timing, relationships, and a mindset so sharp it cuts through noise. And guess what? The worst trap of all is thinking that money is the only thing that matters. Money is a tool, not a trophy. But the world, with its loud voices and old-school myths, lures founders into chasing capital for capital's sake. This is poison. Because fundraising isn't just about cash. It's about storytelling that summons belief. It's about creating scarcity without desperation. It's about becoming a signal so strong investors can't ignore you. That's the real magic. And this magic is hiding behind rules that CEOs won't tell you. Do you know the first secret? It's knowing when to say no. Yes, saying no to investors is more powerful than you think. Top CEOs don't panic because they haven't secured money yet. They're patient hunters. They understand that every yes you take is a piece of your company's soul, terms and conditions that bind you. The biggest mistake is rushing to fill your bank account with any dime thrown your way. The second you bend to a bad deal, every future move is weakened. Investors smell desperation, and they exploit it ruthlessly. The best CEOs hold their ground, sometimes going hungry, to wait for the deal that strengthens their vision, not dilutes it. Here's a brutal truth. Most founders don't realize the power they have because the world doesn't teach it. The false narrative is that money unlocks freedom. It doesn't. It locks you into someone else's game unless you control the terms. The CEOs who win know this instinctively. They manage power flows. They don't just ask how much, they ask who and what kind. They ask, does this investor bring more than cash? Does this relationship build their network, their reputation, their war chest of support? If not, it's a trap. The second secret is playing the human game. Fundraising isn't a transaction, it's a relationship. And real relationships are built on trust, not just numbers. Yet here's the cold fact. Most founders act like pitching is a math problem to solve. They cram info, stats, and projections into investor faces, hoping the numbers will hypnotize. It doesn't work like that. Top CEOs know the game is emotion-driven. They tell a story so raw, so real, that investors don't just hear the business, they feel the fire behind it. Vulnerability, passion, and sheer stubbornness become their currency. This is why they can light up rooms not by showing flashy charts, but by sharing why they refuse to quit, why this vision will change the world. Investors buy people, not just ideas. And if you can't make them feel it, you'll never get the funding. Next, timing. You think fundraising is about the moment you submit a pitch. No, it's about knowing when to strike. What the top CEOs understand is that fundraising is a rhythm, not a single dance. They nurture relationships over months, sometimes years, before pulling the trigger. They prep investors quietly, build anticipation, create a sense of urgency and exclusivity, You might be tempted to rush the process because cash is burning. That's the world's pressure creeping in, whispering lies. But this rhythm, this patience, this slow boil, this is what turns a cold lead into a frenzy of offers. Then there's the ultimate weapon you've been missing, the network effect. Top CEOs don't just cold email strangers and hope for the best. They activate their network like a live wire, connecting dots others can't see. They aren't afraid to ask for intros, to leverage every small link. And here's the kicker. They don't believe in scaling connections randomly. They choose collaborators like samurai pick their battles. Selective, intentional, ruthless. Your network is your fortress or your prison. CEOs build their fortress brick by brick with people who bring not just money, but wisdom, relevance, and influence. But this network isn't about endless liking or following or marketing noise. It's about real alignment. Find those who not only want to see you win, but who bring complementary strengths that offset your weaknesses. This unlocks something bigger than money, synergy. This is the secret sauce the best keep quiet. They know that funding isn't just a capital injection, it's a power multiplication. The right investor energizes growth, opens markets, shifts paradigms. Now, the biggest trick, and here's where the world's illusions start peeling back, is how top CEOs use mindset like armor. Fundraising will force you to question yourself every day. You'll be told no so often you start to believe failure is inevitable. But those who succeed reject that mental cage. They see rejection not as a stop sign, but a signal, a sign that something deeper needs fixing, refining, or realigning. They learn to detach their self-worth from every pitch meeting. They know their mission is bigger than one investor. This mental freedom lets them be ruthless with the process, not desperate. Without this mindset, fundraising becomes a nightmare. With it, it becomes a battlefield where only the brave conquer. So, how are you fighting? Are you chasing every penny and sacrificing your vision? Are you pitching numbers you don't believe in because you think that's what investors want? Are you rushing the process because fear screams louder than your mission? Or are you crafting your story like a fire that no investor can walk away from? Are you building a network so tight it feels like air to breathe? Are you willing to say no to the noise, no to bad terms, and yes only to power? Because that's the choice, that's the edge, that's what separates the founders who make history from those who disappear. Here's the real deal. Fundraising isn't some magic formula you stumble upon. It is a discipline forged through patience, boldness, and brutal honesty with yourself. It's about mastering power, not asking for it. It's about aligning deeply with the few who share your fire, not chasing the many who only watch. It's about becoming an unstoppable force, not a pleading voice. And the best CEOs are hiding this because they know once you learn it, you'll never be the same again. The world tries to sell you freedom while shackling you with rules disguised as safety. It rewards mediocrity and frightens the exceptional into silence. But here, now, you have a choice: to stay trapped in fundraising hell or to become the exception. The real secret isn't a trick. It's a revolution of how you see yourself, your mission, and the game itself. You don't need to be lucky. You don't need to be better. You need to be different, with a fire so bright it shatters illusions. When you unlock this, when you wield patience, power, story, network, and mindset in that perfect deadly order, you don't just raise money, you raise your reality, you become unstoppable, and suddenly, the fundraising game becomes your playground, not your prison. So get ready. Forget what you thought was true. Tear up the old rule book. The hidden playbook of top CEOs isn't about luck, charm, or hype. It's about relentless alignment with power, patience, and truth. And that is the only fundraising trick that changes everything.